Welcome back to Our Issues Milwaukee. I'm your host, Andrea Williams. Now through October 23rd marks the third annual Homelessness Awareness Week in Milwaukee. And my next guest is Eric Collins-Dyke. He serves as the Homeless Outreach Services Manager for the Milwaukee County Housing Division. How are you, Eric?
I'm good, Andrea. Thanks so much for having me.
It's good to have you back on the show. And with the time that we have this morning, I wanted you to tell us more about the supportive housing services that you provide to those who are homeless, as well as those who are facing homelessness.
Yeah, Andrea. So we offer a number of different programs in our supportive housing portfolio. We have some that are scattered site vouchers for individuals who are chronically homeless and living on the street or in our shelters. And then we get them a voucher, get them connected to a case manager, and get them into an apartment anywhere in the county that a landlord will accept them. We also utilize different supportive housing buildings with on-site services and vouchers built into the units that are also targeted at individuals experiencing literal homelessness throughout the community. On the prevention side, especially since the CARES dollars and the emergency rent assistance through the American Rescue Plan, we've been able to partner with community advocates and the Hope House on providing services in terms of back rent and paying rent arrears to over 11,000 households since 2020. And I would highly encourage folks to look into that if they are facing eviction due to rental arrears. We have funds still available. We want to help. Community Advocates does a wonderful job in terms of processing referrals and getting people the assistance they need. And we can often cover a large amount of back rent to make sure people aren't evicted on the street. We've also poured quite a bit more funding since 2019 into homeless prevention. So focusing on general housing insecurity in terms of people who are doubled up, behind on their rent, living with family members, not necessarily on the street, but still very housing insecure and in need of assistance.
Mm-hmm. And we, of course, know that with the pandemic, we had a lot of individuals who were experiencing financial issues, which led them to be in a position where they maybe could not keep up on their rent or mortgage, which is the whole concept of facing homelessness. So Milwaukee County has launched a $10 million housing initiative that is aimed at addressing those needs. You've told us a lot already. So that money that has been allocated to help those, how long does that money last, and how much have you been able to accomplish with that?
Yeah, so back to this 11,000 households served, I think it's focusing on those who are facing eviction with that particular allocation and being able to pay a large amount of back rent covering between 12 and 15 months. So it's understanding and having the flexibility with this funding to support those who face those financial issues since the heavy part of the pandemic. One of the things that we've been saying throughout the community as we try to advocate for more funding in the future with this is, we're hopeful it doesn't take a pandemic to have adequate resources in the community. These resources are needed, COVID or not, and we think highlighting the amount of folks that we've served and community advocates specifically, and they're a great team. We're hopeful that those who make those funding decisions, both locally, regionally, nationally, will take notice, and that we'll be able to explore these as we move forward post 2021, post COVID, and look at having these resources in place all the time in our community.
Yeah, and one thing we can't ignore living in the state of Wisconsin is the cold weather. Dealing with this pandemic is one thing, but then dealing with these frigid temperatures that will soon come is another. So I'm sure there's been conversation there with the Milwaukee County Housing Division on how to approach these cold temperatures while we are still fighting our way through the pandemic.
Yeah, we've been working closely with the city of Milwaukee and our local continuum of care on developing winter plans for this winter related to utilizing hotels, congregate warming sites. We have a number of partners stepping up to the table this year for that as well. Historically, we've used congregate warming sites. Now we're able to look at hotels as another resources. That is something else that came out during the pandemic. Last winter, we had a number of hotel rooms. It's a wonderful resource for those we serve in providing dignity. Folks have their own TV, their own shower, clean bed to sleep on every single night, meals every day. And we're hopeful to have access to that as well. We will also, with the whole outreach community on the street outreach side, increase the outreach footprint in terms of making sure that we are aware of who is still outside as we get into November and December, and make sure we're collaborating to triage people indoors, not only to the warming sites and hotels, but also to our local shelters as well.
Yeah, and it's important to give out the information for someone who's watching that may be in this situation or knows someone who is, on how they can take advantage of these resources. So if you could give us the websites and or phone numbers that one would need in order to kind of get the ball rolling.
Yeah, so for the emergency rental assistance, if you're facing eviction, renthelpmke.org is your first go-to, and that goes directly to community advocates. And you can be walked through the application process, get connected with their team on any questions you have, and understand what documents you may need to turn in to qualify for the assistance. The other piece as well on the eviction side is Eviction Free MKE, and that's our right to counsel partnership. The city of Milwaukee is also involved with the United Way, Legal Aid, and Legal Action. And what that does is it gives any individual facing eviction a right to an attorney. It's a new initiative for us. We're incredibly excited. We can't thank the legal community enough, both Legal Aid and Legal Action and United Way. We're hopeful that that is a strong intervention in keeping people housed. On the other side, in terms of calling 211 for people outdoors, we've been working closely with 211 and their team to make sure those calls are routed to the appropriate outreach teams. So if someone is experiencing unsheltered homelessness and somebody sees them, reassuring them that that is a resource that they can call. The other one is outreach services at MilwaukeeCountyWI.gov. That is an email address directly to our homeless outreach team. Myself and all of our outreach workers will get it and can often respond in real time, same day. And either connect them to our resources or other resources in the system. We do encourage the public to reach out to those sites and numbers as it gets colder. We want to make sure we know where everyone's at if we're missing folks. But I'm also very confident in the whole outreach community that is covering the community on a daily basis to make sure we have the right strategy in place as it gets really cold, because it'll creep up on us here to get people indoors.
All right. Well, Eric, thank you so much for stopping by today to give us that great information, and thank you for all the work that you do. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks so much for having me, Andrea.
Eric Collins-Dyke is the Homeless Outreach Services Manager for the Milwaukee County Housing Division. You can visit county.milwaukee.gov to get information on anything we've discussed. And that is going to do it for today's show. I'm your host, Andrea Williams. As always, thank you for watching. And I do hope you join us again next week as we take another look at our issues, Milwaukee. Have a great day.